Oh, hey, welcome to another episode of R-Rated Christianity. We're just going to dive in. I mean, those who have been watching us know what we do. This is an apologetics podcast. We look at everything, worldview, theology, societal issues, politics, current events through a biblical lens. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk. I mean, you know, we know the R stands for real, raw, and redemptive. We're going to have a real conversation. We're just going to get to the heart of the matter, but ultimately, we want this conversation to lead people to a redemptive relationship with Jesus Christ. And I talked about this. You guys weren't in Bible study this morning with our group, but we just kind of dove into this morning, and there were different issues that we have to talk about. I think in here we're going to talk about the non-church issue, the way society is dealt with and reacted. I won't say reacted to Charlie Kirk's passing, the life of Charlie Kirk and what he stood for, and then the church, and then the church response to it, or lack thereof, or over response, however you want to say it. Right. And then we need to apply biblical principles of truth. One thing that I know for sure is there's three things God can't do. He can't murder. He can kill, but he can't murder, because that means the spilling of innocent blood. That's right. He cannot lie, because Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And if God could lie, then he wouldn't be God by definition. And he can't be unjust. So God is justice. I mean, you know, so we should be just. We should be seeking truth, not waiting for it. We should be pursuing it. I always say we should be truth scavengers as Christ followers. And so there's a couple of things. I started this morning by saying that there was some encouragement that I've seen through this. And then I'm very troubled as well. Troubled because you're seeing people that are celebrating the spilling of innocent blood. Because regardless of whether you like Charlie or not, and I'm not into these pre-qualifiers, all this other crap, but he was murdered.
Yeah, that's right.
For sharing an opinion.
Yep.
That's it. He wasn't killing people. He wasn't raping people. Yeah. He wasn't pillaging. He wasn't stealing people's money, even though that's not justification for murder. But he was murdered for sharing opinions. Now, we can get into at some point in this show, if you want to, what those opinions were, because I know he's been called everything from a racist to not bigot, a Christian to a bigot, all of it. To the whole thing and the whole gamut. And for me as a lawyer, but even more important as a lawyer, I mean, a former prosecutor and now a current defense lawyer, but I'm a Christ follower first. And so even above my profession, even though I deal with this kind of stuff for a living, we have to answer to God for our stewardship of everything, our ministry, our words, our behaviors, everything. And so, like, we can do them in sections, guys. I don't know how you want to do it, because, I mean, we can't talk them all at the same time. Right. The societal response, there are some people that are celebrating. To me, it's such a depravity that we're seeing. This incident has peeled the scab off, I believe, of the moral problem of our society. I mean, for someone to celebrate the murder of an innocent man, innocent in the sense of he did nothing to justify that, that type of action on him. How did that happen? Where are we at? I mean, we're in some murky waters. We're in some murky waters. I want to talk about that first, because the church has to be the answer to that. Yeah. And then we can get into Charlie Kirk, the person, the man, and what did he say or not say, and then the church's response, because we're going to wade into the waters tonight, gentlemen. You already know it's coming, of certain churches, and then this one pastor who happens to be black that's gone viral now. Right. His words on Charlie Kirk, and then the responsibility of a shepherd. I'm assuming he's filling that role, whether he really is or not, we'll talk about. But he's filling that role behind a pulpit. Huge responsibility. Huge responsibility. And forget us and this podcast. Everybody that stands behind that pulpit has to answer to God. That's right. In the end. And we know the scripture says that if you're going to be in that position, you sure you want it? Because you have a higher standard you have to hold. And so I think we just jump into the societal issue. Yeah. Because in the end, I think it's a stark reminder that we're not promised tomorrow. Yeah. I've seen way too many videos in my profession where I know at 12 minutes and 14 seconds of the video that person walks into eternity. And they don't know it's coming. And so at 10 minutes, I'm thinking, 2 more minutes, this guy has no idea. Wow. It's 1 more minute. Here it comes, 20 more seconds, and there they are. Wow. And I felt the same way when it didn't I mean, it was shocking, but I wasn't shocked. And I know I'm probably a little screwed up because what I deal with for a living, so I see too much crap. But it was shocking just because, like, man, in front of everybody, I felt for the students. Yeah. I mean, I felt for the students. His wife was in attendance. I don't know exactly. I've heard different reports of where she was at, whether it was in the front row and the side row, or the kid was in the back, the daughter's running after her dad. I don't know. And I don't know what to believe anymore. I got to look at evidence myself. But there's a lot of things going on. So you have this rage, you have this sadness. I mean, not particular. I didn't follow Charlie. I mean, I saw videos of him because I'll just peel the Band-Aid off. I mean, I agreed with most of what he said anyway. So, I mean, it's like I didn't need to watch his videos. Someone would send me a video. I was like, oh, I like the way he did this. Or, I would have said that differently. From the cheap seats. He's the one in the arena in a huge scale. Absolutely. And then we'll talk about how he stewarded that or not. So society, I mean, George and I kind of went at it this morning, with the guys. So what are your thoughts about this?
I think one of the things that clearly was, this is in our backyard. Did you guys see the thing from Texas State, the young man mocking Charlie Kirk? And then he gets expelled as well, which he's going around mocking, acting as if, he got hit in the neck and he's expletives and, F Charlie Kirk, all that. And it was disgusting to see, and it was one of those things that really showed the state of, I think, of where we are as a people. I think anytime that's something that's celebrated, again, right, wrong, indifferent of how you personally feel, celebration of it is just outright abhorrent. And I think that it's wrong for us to celebrate the death of a life. And this is where I don't want to jump too much to the Christian perspective yet, but that was an image bearer of God. I don't care if you liked them, loved them, whatever. That was an image bearer of God. And every life has value. Every life has dignity. And we are, as a society, it's interesting to see the reaction to this did not feel as if as a society, we witnessed an assassination and a murder. It looked like we saw something. And for some of us, or a lot of us, were shocked and were like, holy smokes, this grieved us. And for others, I don't know how we didn't all jump to grief. I don't know how we didn't all get there. Yeah. For whatever reason, there's something within us that caused us to, no, I'm not going to grieve. And we got a little confused there.
One of the things I think that might even point to that, in which is honestly, this space has really, I think, shaped my mind in my framework is if you take a step back, the only way a person can get to that place, can get to that sort of thought or that sort of celebration is an ideology. It's a framework for how they view humans, how they view people that don't, whether they don't look like them, don't vote like them, disagree with them on particular topics. The only way that you can get to a place where someone is subhuman enough for you celebrate, that is rooted beyond you just on the surface, right? That's rooted in how your framework of viewing humanity. The thing to me is how much we have seen people's ideology be so broken, so flawed, so distorted that there's celebration in America for the shooting of someone. And it's interesting because and George, I know you speak to this too. I think we brought it up, touched it a little bit before, but it's not as if this is the first time, but this is in its own way in this social media world and the reach that he had globally. It's different, but not different. It's unique, but not unique. It's a weird one to sit with because it has happened. It's just unfortunate to see I would assume that we were further than we were.
Yeah, this is a first though. It's a case of first impression. Yeah. I mean, how many people were he had political influence, but he was not a politician. Yeah. This wasn't a political event. Right. It was a free speech event. Hey, that's it. Here, give me your opinion. If you disagree with me, come up front. Come up, I mean, it wasn't like the one thing it seems like the people that opposed him didn't respect. He wanted to have conversation. That's one thing I tell people. I don't agree with Bill Maher on most of his positions, because I do agree with him on a few things. But I like him. I like Bill Maher. Yeah. I mean, I like his kind of sarcastic he's funny at times. He's irritating as hell at times, but he'll talk to people. Yeah. And he's not afraid to criticize even quote unquote his side. Right. So I respect that about him. Charlie did the same. He's asking people, but in a college setting, no one expected it there. From you hear the rumblings that yes, there were security threats, there was this, there was that. He had security guards always around him. A lot of people at that level get a lot of threats, and you don't know if it's a viable threat or not. Unfortunately, I've had threats in past positions I've had, so I get it in that sense. But it was just shocking for people. Like they didn't expect that, and then just how. I mean, it wasn't like a gut shot. It was his neck, or whether we can talk about the ballistics and the videos and where it bounced off this and where it was going and where the shot came from. I have an opinion about all that stuff.
Tell me what you mean by first impression. What was the term you used?
This was like a case of first impression.
Okay, a case of first impression.
This wasn't. I mean, we've seen attempted political assassinations.
Right.
Trump in his ear, golf court. Even though it wasn't a political thing, but he's a political figure.
Right.
I mean, we've seen in other countries political. Ronald Reagan. Henry Ford. I mean, Ford. I mean, so we've seen it. We've heard of Abe Lincoln. So, but this is not a political person.
Yeah, and I don't think in my lifetime I've witnessed a murder or shooting like that. Like the context of the shooting, college campus, open air, free, very just casual. He's done it 100 times. It felt very. I mean, it was disorienting because I don't think in my lifetime I've witnessed.
I don't think so either.
A shooting and a successful assassination attempt, and that
in your face.
In your face.
Think about it. See, if we all freaked out over the Zapruder film, JFK, and that was a horrible, long view,
grainy
but you could
video.
still see it. You could still see the brains coming out. You could see the just the intensity of it. And then if we had Martin Luther King's assassination on video, I think it would affect even more so. It already affected phones even more so. It would have been that way. Sure. I mean, Robert Kennedy. We had the aftermath. The cameras are weird. Yeah. They didn't see it actually happen. They saw the after effect. He's laying there. He's looking up.
Right.
I mean, it was. He answers the question. I mean, this 4K. Is the fragile.
Yeah.
I mean, here it's like, well, what do you? Boom. Yeah. And then. And then you see him bleed out. I see what you're saying. And then the amount of blood. I knew when I saw that pic, I said, there's no way he survives that. It's an artery.
Yeah, ironically, he was talking about trans violence.
Yeah.
And then it's just, he addressed where the sources of violence, this was a key talking point for him, and he developed the topic apologetically. He went to the data, as he typically did. This is what made Charlie a formidable force. Is because facts are stubborn things.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
And so he just had the ability to dive in, at least relative to the average American by far, and the average politician with respect. Yep. And by that, Nico says, whenever you say with respect, it's actually with no respect at all. But Charlie had the ability to dive in, and whatever the topic, he came studied, he came prepared, and Nico mentioned today in Men's Study that we live in a culture where the worldview. Now, the predominant worldview, at least institutionally, is that if you disagree with me, you must be evil.
You must hate them, yeah.
Charles Krauthammer, which I mentioned in sidebar, I think it was the first time that I ever heard him sort of position it this way, is that a conservative has an ideology, has a faith framework typically. They believe in the existence of God. They believe that we're going to be accountable to God one day. It's sort of where the framers were coming from, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, that there is a God, ultimately, regardless of what party you belong to. At some point, we're going to have to be accountable to that God. And maybe we ought to live like he exists, treat our neighbor with respect, and, if you're a believer, even live a life of worship. And so conservatives have that worldview, generally speaking, in the backdrop. We have an opposing worldview right now. And this is why I think in Bible study today, I think we work really hard to try to get away from the partisan stuff and really get into the worldview stuff. Yeah. Now, I understand that eventually, and this is what's happening, if you get back to the worldview and you get to see what people's priorities are and what they hold dear, then eventually you can start seeing, and this is frightening, I'm not celebrating this, you can kind of see a fault line along partisanship. That's where it's laid out. In fact, there's tons of polling on this, because everybody else wants to know how many Christians are Democrats and that kind of thing. Can you be a Democrat and a Christian? Can you be a Democrat and a Republican, et cetera? So there's actually a ton of research on this, and you can see year after year the number of people who affiliate themselves with the Democrat Party and people who consider themselves Bible-believing Christians are dropping through the basement. Now, and again, I don't say this gleefully, this divide is not good, it's cancerous, I'm worried about my kids, we were just talking about that earlier today, and you're worried about your kids, and and we should all be deeply concerned for the world that our children are going to be. I mean, do you want your kids to grow up in a world that literally sees the opposite of them as evil? And that's what's happening here. If you're conservative, typically, you look at your opponent, you might consider him stupid, but there's hope because you can always persuade them, and maybe they won't be stupid anymore. Now, if you're on the left, you see your opponent as evil, and so if your opponent is evil, then what's the word you use? You dehumanize that opponent. He has less human value and should be exterminated. And so increasingly what we're seeing, and Charlie Kirk talked about an assassination culture. He talked about Network Contagion Research Institute in April of this year that basically said that 48% of people who affiliate themselves with the Democrat Party think that it was totally appropriate for Elon Musk to be wiped out. And about 55% thought the same thing about Donald Trump. Now that doesn't exist comparably anywhere near the case on the conservative side. So he was talking about an assassination culture. He was tired of the both sidesism, which is also a dynamic that we saw after his death. Where the reality is, you don't even have to go back that far. The reality is that all of the political violence, I'm not talking about mean words.
Right.
That's called a debate, usually where I come from. But all of the political violence is coming from one side. And so as a believer, I'm less interested in the party stuff. I love to do the political analysis. What's the worldview there?
All is strong, though, I would say, George.
What's that?
When you say all, I'm saying
all of the
political
left
violence.
or all political violence, you're saying?
When was the last object? We can go back 20, 30 years. I'm happy to engage in that with you, Mo. But I mean, just go back.
Well,
Let's go back go back 10 years or whatever. I mean, when was the last time you actually saw an actual conservative grab a gun and go wipe out his political opponents?
Okay, I'm just saying violence for sure. I'm not saying the death of someone. But I'm saying whether there are attempts or whether there's, and again, I don't know what the history was for the person who gunned down the people in Minnesota, the two Democrat senators or Congress people.
In their driveway or
the couple
in their
home.
their home.
Or Governor Shapiro, who there was arson up against his home with his family inside the home.
That was a pro-Palestinian person.
Yeah.
So again, I'm saying I don't know what so a pro-Palestinian person comes from which direction. I'm not saying it's a conservative direction.
Yeah.
I'm just saying all political violence to be summed up.
The Michelle
to
Ortman
the
case is
left.
important that you brought up. I want to clarify that. So the examples you're going to give, if you're talking about physical violence, they categorically fall on the left. That's the concern here.
Interesting.
Even the one with in Minnesota.
Yeah.
That's a bizarre case. We talked about it today in Men's Study. It's a bizarre case because he claimed to be a Pentecostal pastor, but when you look down into what he actually believed in the causes that he got behind, he was decidedly not a conservative. That's the point. Now, this doesn't surprise any of us because we clearly see people who claim to be X, Y, and Z in the church.
Yes.
And then in reality, they take very different positions
See,
politically.
And for me, I think less more of the label of conservative versus leftist and the ideas underneath those. That's
Sure.
for me, right?
For sure.
Because ideas have consequences, and not all ideas are the same. And so I think what we're looking at, I'm just listening to the conversation, and we're analyzing here as a society without Christ. Right,
Sure.
so we have all these ideas, and I call them the rules of engagement. What are the rules of engagement? The rules of engagement to a Christless society is, if you're my enemy, I have to hate you, and I'm going to define hate as you disagreeing with me. That's a big deal, because if society defines hate as disagreement,
we're in
then
trouble.
We're in trouble.
We're in trouble.
The church
Every
is in trouble.
Christian is in trouble.
And if you don't think, this is where it's going to start bleeding over to the church yet, but not yet. If you don't think that this attack was every bit of an attack on Christian values,
1,000%.
you're asleep.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
because the things that this person said that was meaningful to them and
would
why
agree.
he hated Christians too, allegedly. I didn't see it myself. So I take everything with a grain of salt until I see the evidence myself. But the allegation is that he had animus towards Christians and Charlie Kirk for those Christian values.
Right.
He had a roommate. The roommate was transitioning.
Trans, yep.
They had a romantic relationship. So there's a whole different, there's more to this side. And then the celebration, I mean, to me, it's shocking, but doesn't shock me. But I think what a lot of people saw, because let me tell you what I've seen from society. You have some people that said, I didn't even I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk, but I don't agree with this. I mean, I was touched in a good way by Jamie Lee Curtis. Did you hear it?
I heard it.
You probably read the transcript, but I mean, I heard. I mean, she's there talking, and she goes, "I don't."
No,
and
she was sobbing.
She was sobbing.
Yeah.
That is the compassion that I want. A world. I want a world where you can disagree, but you're sobbing because there's something in her. She sees the. I don't know if she's a Christian. She talked about his God and his faith, meaning Charlie. But she sees the value in another person.
No, she's a really good example because she's she's politically on the left, and she's full throated about that. She's not
secretive about it.
And I think there are people. Again, this is very clear based on it ties back to the dialogue that Mo and I were having. Is that it's important that we recognize that not everybody in the Democrat Party would support that.
No.
For sure.
But the issue here, and the words I use are the inertia, the combination of the momentum of the leadership is clearly in that bag and in that direction. That's very concerning. Very, very concerning. It's deeply worrying.
Yeah.
And that's not meant to be an indictment about every Democrat. Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, is a good example of somebody. And I think... And I think you're seeing a lot of this happen all over the country, and it's a good thing that they realize, oh my gosh, those are the implications of the worldview that I've jumped on. Holy crap! And I think there's this realization that it is a worldview that subscribes to death and murder. It is actually, in fact, in Christian language and in theological construction, it's a false gospel. It has everything that the real gospel offers. Except everything. It's got its version of salvation. It's got its version of God. It's got its version of redemption. It's got its rituals. Right? It's got its heroes and it's got its villains. And you could literally go through and break it all down. And so you've got people that are delineated on the basis of their skin color, people that are delineated on the basis of their political opinion, whether they subscribe to a particular issue or not, and they're immediately categorized. Yeah. And there's a whole industry, and this has been taught in academia. It's the industry of microaggressions. You can literally intersectionality. You guys know this. You can break people down at the speed of light. It's amazing how fast this religion can do that. And so we have a false gospel and a true gospel competition. The question is, are pastors who know the true gospel going to step up and actually talk in those terms? That's my concern. Yeah. I stood on my soapbox this morning. Nick and I had a long conversation. I think that pastors have to step up and actually delineate along these lines, and then the party stuff will take care of itself.
Well, see, I want to hear from you guys on this one, because I think what has happened is and I don't know if the church is ready for it. I don't think you can stand idle anymore. Not you, the church. The Band-Aid's the veil's been torn down. Now it's like, oh shit, sorry guys, I don't know what to say it. Now what do I do? Now what? This is the implication of a church not addressing societal issues. This is the implications of a church not leading in the moral standard. This is a church that is reflecting the culture instead of setting the culture. This is a church that truly maybe read past Romans 12:2. Not conforming to the patterns of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind, and making sure that the flock, that more than 4% of the flock has a biblical worldview. And what I was encouraged but disappointed by, the church attendance this week in numbers were off the charts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nationally.
Yep.
How many churches weren't ready for it? How many churches weren't ready to talk about this and engage? Yeah. Or just, it's terrible, never political violence. Let me get to my sermon. No, pastor. You put your big boy pants on. You're behind that, because I'm going to tell you right now, and you know where I'm going to go with this. Pastor Ed from CBC, for me, and we can get into this if you want to, knocked it out of the park. Yeah. And I'm just going to say it. I know that he got criticism for it. I get it. And let's analyze that criticism, because I think it's important to talk about it. Absolutely. And to meet people where they're at, like Jesus did it with the woman at the well in John 4. But you can't stay it there. You can't stay there, And so I think Ed did well. Dave Tooker did well in Hillside, but didn't get as deep. And I say this lovingly, because we love Dave and we love Ed, but he still was there. But I mean, Ed went full throated in. Yeah. You know that. It was like, is the water warm? Shit, I don't know. I'm diving in. Yeah. I mean, he was in. And you're going to have marks for it. You're going to I mean, if you're not uncomfortable listening to the gospel, including myself, then I don't know what we're doing. I mean, without Jesus, we're screwed.
Yeah. There's go ahead.
Right before, because this is perfect where we're going. I want to just say right before we leave the political side, the other part that was disheartening was I don't know everything, but it felt like it was, it feels like, left and right are keeping the score, and the hoping that the shooter, before we knew anything, hoping that the shooter was the other side showed something to me as well. If you're right, I hope he's on the left. I hope why are we hoping for that? And I felt like it was a point system. I'm trying to make sure that my party keeps winning. The left, I hope he's right, I hope he's left. That for me was like, it was a telltale sign of what political, not everybody, but political parties were playing the game of, this one's going to be a good one for us, this is going to be a bad one for them. And I just felt like we completely missed humanity in that sense.
I mean, I certainly don't argue that happened. I know that happened. But I don't think any true conservative was wondering if this was somebody from the left. I mean, in what universe would somebody who is on the conservative side, who is by definition aligned with Charlie Kirk, get on a rooftop and wipe him out like that? And so,
Completely.
I don't mean to be argumentative just for the sake of argument. I'm just simply making the point that at some point the politics and the theology are going to because
they
you're going to
clash.
talk for
They're
sure.
gonna clash.
This is the problem, because you're going to go to worldview, and now you're going to dissect the worldview, and now you're going to talk about what is the highest point of divinity in that worldview. Right? Who sits among that pyramid? And in an atheistic worldview where there is no God, and power is the currency, then another human being or government or a group of human beings stand atop that pyramid. The trajectory of life in the future will look very, very different as a result.
Right.
And so I guess, and Charlie talked about this. I mean, the guy would literally married politics and theology all the time.
Yes.
Because one informed the other. I mean, his theology informed his politics. And he was doing a great job.
It wasn't the other way around.
It wasn't the other way around.
It should be your politics informed your theology.
for sure.
Your
and so as a
informed.
Christian who looks at things as worldview, for me, Mo, and I know you and I just because we enjoy it, we talk politics, but ultimately that's what breaks my heart. I knew that was a line in the sand on worldview. And if you read Tyler Robinson's manifesto, he is exclaiming a worldview. And this is a worldview that is decidedly subsidized and supported and advocated by one party. So my point is, our healing comes from identifying that false gospel and addressing those issues. I think we can talk about party because it's ultimately a manifestation of a worldview. It should be. But I think as believers, as pastors, and I'm saying this, but I'm asking, I think ultimately healing comes from talking about what's under the hood.
Absolutely.
What's driving this? What's fueling this? What are the assumptions that people are making about reality, about humanity, about God, and about accountability and personal responsibility? Because this isn't clear in the church. We were talking about pastors all over the country who were saying crazy shit from the pulpit.
Definitely.
And I thought, I don't know what that is, but it isn't Christian. And yet there were many more coming from mainline denominations, United Church of Christ, Baptist Church. I just couldn't believe this stuff. So the church is a hot mess, and by God's grace, we may yet find ourselves out of there, because I think this is the hope. That really, I mean, if the church is emasculated, tell me, where's the hope going to come from?
Well, I guess my heart, because I know my heart will be disappointed if I would go to every church, and I'm putting myself in the shoes of the person seeking. I'm a true seeker. Someone that's like, I've been on the sidelines. I can't be on the sidelines anymore. There's got to be something more to life than this. It can't just be about hating you. See, the false gospel is, for us, it's like love your neighbor, as yourself. Hate your neighbor because they hate you. That's the other gospel. Like everything's about conflict and domination and victimhood and all this other. And if we disagree, that's not. And my concern is, and I know it happened. That people ran to a church. They were hoping to go to home base where there could be safety, and they were disappointed because someone didn't boldly meet them where they needed to be with the truth of the gospel.
That's right.
Not with a political party. Like those people that wrap the Bible in the flag or in your party, you're mistaken.
Right.
You have a false idol.
Right.
You need to repent from that. But what should happen for me, I want to see a Bible with the American flag sticking out of it, not wrapping. Nothing wraps my Bible but my hands.
Right.
But I don't mind a flag sticking
bookmarker.
out. A bookmarker, right? or you can read it with one sitting, what George does. But I mean, but you understand my point. I mean, this is the point about that your theology should shape your politique.
Absolutely.
Politique is what you're advocating out there. And for me, Matthew 28:19 is my politic. You want to know my politics? Go into all nations, making disciples of all men, teaching them to obey all that I've commanded.
Yeah.
A set of ideas advocated by a group of people to affect the lives of others. That's my politics.
Yeah. This is what I loved about, and I'll let you hop in too, Mo. This is what I loved about Charlie is when he spoke about politics, and I think he beautifully said, my political views are fueled by my biblical convictions, but I can argue my political views without using the Bible if you want to go there. And I thought that was brilliant. He was able to, if people wanted to, well, don't use your Bible, he was able to defend it. But what fueled it was his biblical convictions.
That's good.
And I thought that was beautiful whenever he responded that way. And
it was well said.
Yeah, it was very well said. And so to your point, Nico, I think this is a beautiful moment in time and history for the church. And here's why I say a beautiful moment. It's a beautiful moment because I believe there's also an awakening of ordinary men and women of God who ran to home base to try to hear something, realize why didn't this guy speak to the issue? Why didn't this guy speak to something so evil and use the gospel to redeem this moment? Why didn't he speak boldly? And what we're seeing, I think, not completely, and I don't have stats, but there's also an exodus of people of like, I need to reevaluate where I'm at. And I think there's an awakening within people of saying, I don't know if this is the place where I want to. I mean, you got, and again, this isn't a telltale sign, but you got people online and writing articles of, hey, and this is during service. I hear the guy over the loudspeaker, hey, I'm walking out of my service, y'all. I gave him 10 minutes to say something. He hasn't said anything. Been at this church for a decade. I'm no longer going here.
It's this trend that's happening.
And there's a trend, and I think there's an awakening.
Because they felt like the pastor didn't address this boldly enough?
Boldly. And I think there's here's the beautiful part that for me is going to take place. I think there is a weeding out of I don't want to use seeker friendly because I understand.
Mo wants to use it. Don't worry about it. What?
That's red meat,
Mo,
man.
That's red meat.
I know. I'm trying to stay away from it. I see them salivating. But I think there is a delineation. I'll use your word. There's a delineation amongst those churches who want to be soft-served ice cream on Sunday versus those who want to boldly proclaim the gospel. And I think with that, there's a natural weeding out of those people. And I hate that it takes moments like this.
Yeah.
But there's moments like this that I think people naturally say, there's no way this week we just had a week that we just had. And then I'm here talking about 5 ways to the happiest life I can have.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Well, I've never been proven wrong on this, not because I'm so smart. It's because this is the way God designed the human experience. If you want to find someone's true character, give them power or problems. And you'll find it every time, and even perceived power or problem. You give them power or any type of authority, money, influence, whatever it is, or problems. And you'll find out exactly
what
they
they're
are.
made of.
Yep, they'll find out what they're made of.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm thinking of all these people running to these churches to home base,
That's
and it's
hard.
like, man, there's no one there to keep me.
That's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for me because that was it. It's almost like the pastor that misses the mark on Christmas and Resurrection Day.
Yes.
And you give some BS soft-served ice cream sermon on that?
Yep.
Right. Well, you see, the thing is, it was damned if you do, damned if you don't. You see why. Because there is a whole backlash of,
fair enough,
in the Christian world right now, of if you said something and if you didn't say something. And there are those who, this is trend of walking out because my pastor did say something and he deified Charlie. And then there's this whole thing of my pastor said something and he demonized Charlie, or somewhere in the middle, or they didn't say anything. It's a church in California right now getting drugged through the mud.
Really?
Because they just did a sermon on tithing, and it was just bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
They just kept
but he didn't
going.
Tithing on this weekend?
Didn't
Oh,
pivot.
they just kept going
Kept
with
going.
like as usual, and they were in a series, but it was like
But does he
They
go- does
obviously
he have a
haven't
church
seen
here?
our episode from a couple of weeks ago.
Was it from San Antonio or LA?
No, he said.
Do you know
no,
where-
California.
Oh.
California.
I thought it was a pastor here.
No, California.
Do you know where in California?
Don't put that on me. Hey, whoa. I'm not going to be that guy. I love the local church.
I'll find out.
I'll find it. Southern California to make it a little bit more regional.
Yeah, right.
I'll say
They'll
that.
find it anyway.
Right. But it's just going through it.
But you had to choose. Go ahead. I'll let you
Yeah,
finish.
I mean, you will choose. And the thing is, I don't want somebody. Here's the thing: I don't want nobody to get up and leave. And whether you did it or you didn't, and somebody got up and left.
Okay, let's now. Can I cross-examine you?
Yes, please.
So Momo, so what is the point? Is the point that a pastor is not going to get in trouble with somebody?
Is the point of what?
Is the point of this fear, this damned if you do, damned if you don't? Because if I understand Scripture, and I understand what God says about the boldness of someone that says, "Are you sure you want that position?" Paul says, "Are you sure you want that position?"
Yeah.
James says, "Are you sure you want that position?" It comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
Who thinks they're going to get in that position, and not get in trouble with somebody? You just have to choose who you're going to get in trouble with.
Well, here's the thing. It's this weird almost also the opt out is I'm going to just preach the gospel. So that's the thing. That's the I'm going to opt out and not play the punching with politics or go into the culture piece or it's the avoidance. It's just but it's not avoiding to let me, talk about, 5 ways to happiness. It's I'm going to just go ahead and just keep preaching James 3 and we're going to just go back.
then how-
Yeah,
Plow through.
Go.
Plow through.
Told you it was red meat.
Yeah.
The only problem is, if we actually take instruction from the way Paul instructed the church throughout the entire New Testament, his recipe was pretty clear. Doctrinal instruction, ethical application. He never strayed from ethical application because at the end of the day, you can be filled with wonderful thoughts and be completely irrelevant in the society that you're in. At the end of the day, the goal is to obviously change hearts and minds for Jesus Christ, which gets me back to the interesting thing of at some point people were saying, what am I doing here? Look, there's nothing wrong. There actually is nothing in the Scripture that gives you specific instructions on how to properly leave a church. The Bible is virtually silent on it. We do know why we should be there.
That's good.
And so the absence of that, obviously, one follows.
That's a good point.
It's a good reason to leave. There are no instructions on how to leave it. But it seems to me, I was going back to Paul's letter to Timothy, where he frames for Timothy that the church is to be the platform of truth in society.
Right. But I think,
And so everything it does, teaching, worship programs, activities, it all must be for sharing and furthering the truth of Jesus Christ in its community. That's it. And so to the extent a church is sort of betraying that goal or not explaining that goal or sort of maturing the body in that goal, what good is it? And this was a moment, and there obviously nobody here has a problem with preaching the gospel, but in a moment like like this, it is the height of either cowardice or ignorance. And in either case, I'm not really sure I want to be under a mantle of a leadership that's cowardly or clueless. I think that's the crux for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Here's the tough part that I would say. And I don't know if it's tough or not, but I would just say the tension that pastors sit in, and I'm not swaying for one or the other, but I would say the place that they sit in is that it's a moving goalpost. Who's to say what the metric is? If I say too little, what is that metric? If I say too much, what is that metric? If I spent the whole time talking about this, is that old enough? If I just said, man, this week sucked, let's get on our knees and pray about it, is that too little? It just, again, now so I think, again, it goes back to the person, and again, they're bold convictions, but the metric is varying. For some people, I was like, that's exactly enough. And this is where you can't get too much into, I think, people. And that person walked away, and that person, now, of course, there's okay, if you just avoided and you just went to okay, there's some room for all right, what are we actually doing? But for the ones it's just hey, I did say something, but it wasn't enough.
I think the mistake in churches and pastors was the lead up. If your culture in your church you should know if your pastor is going to address an issue or not, because you know the way culture just means the way we do things, and the way we do like in our Bible study, we've been doing it for 16 and a half years. I mean, you know, we've been doing that study, and we're bold. I mean, we everything's about a fidelity to God's word. My opinion doesn't matter. I want to be obedient to God. I want to know what He wants me to know. I want to love what He loves, hates what He hates, hold sacred what He holds sacred. And courage is part of that, because if you have truth but you don't have courage, then you have the best kept secret in the world. Courage is key to preaching the gospel.
Nico, to channel that courage appropriately, because what's maybe missing is prayerfulness. I think we have again, sorry to go back to the polling, but we have we are increasingly a prayerless church. So I would hope that pastors are struggling with that, and that they're as I like to say when I've had those moments, agonizing before the Lord. This is worth that agony.
Yeah.
Truly. I bet you there were people who were like okay with that culture that says, yeah, just keep preaching the gospel, stay out of politics. But on this issue, they were like outraged, because it's like, wait, this is not an appropriate exception. I mean, you really need to talk on this. But I would say before you jettison out of a church, I can't believe I'm saying this.
Come on, George. Come on, George.
Before you jettison out of a church, the scripture says,
have a conversation.
I'm trying to hear, Pastor.
I'm just saying. I'm rooting you on.
But Jude chapter 1, verse 3 said that we had to be contending earnestly for the faith. That might mean stick around and see if you can be part of that change.
Yeah.
I mean, talk to your pastor. Can you have that conversation with your pastor? Say, Pastor,
totally.
Look, here's the deal. I'm sticking with you. My wife and I have talked to the Lord, and we believe that He's calling us to remain. But I got to tell you, my heart is distressed.
Yes,
and here's
good.
why. And see what He says. If He tells you to F off, that's probably a good indication that maybe that didn't work out. You know, but
That's great.
Is your pastor teachable?
Yeah, and
I don't care if he's got 1,000 people or 50,000.
Doesn't matter.
Is he teachable?
Yeah, and I was going to speak to that. That even though, and I love the awakening of people realizing it. And some people may have felt like, you know what, this isn't the place for me. I don't advocate for this thing was missed. I'm gone. I'm leaving.
Yeah, it's not a one and done deal.
It's not a one and done deal.
It's a big deal, but come on.
But it's like, hey, let's go ahead. Let's have an issue, or let's confront it. Let's talk to an elder. Let's bring this before and say, because it may be the thing that really wakes and stiffens the spine of like, hey guys, I actually missed it this week or this weekend, and it could be an awakening. So I'm not advocating for people leaving, but I did see people really come to their senses, not come to their senses, but just come to this awakening of like, man, I don't know if this is the place where I want to be. But you make a great point of the setup, and we talk about this a lot of there's never no one weekend, or rarely is a weekend just done in a vacuum. It's generally the way things are done all year long. It's the culture of the church. And if the culture of the church isn't to speak on issues at all, when there's a big one, you can't sit there and say like, well, this will be the thing that does it. It may not. It may be a culture of we avoid these types of conversations. So,
I mean, we were going to lean to this anyway, but some of the backlash from a lot of Black people within the church.
Are you reading my mind? It's freaky.
This is you know, we're locked in, George. That's what the youngins say.
I literally was going to say
this
that.
This is beautiful.
What is happening?
Take each other to dinner.
No, I wonder if there's a sort of subliminal signals that I was giving that go in this direction. But please go ahead.
No, well, to that point, if we go another layer of reasoning or frustration or emotion around this past weekend, a lot of what we're seeing social media wise, our group chats, our conversations,
let's go there.
that we're having within the Black community, and some of it I think is good and warranted, and then there's some of it that I just think is.
Can you give us
don't ask
examples
me
of
which
both?
ones.
Come on, Momo, you can't do that.
This is already.
Don't ask me
Come
which
on,
ones.
guys. This is real and raw.
I'll say this.
I'll say. Well,
go ahead.
Well,
I didn't know if you wanted to.
Well, I'll just say it's the
jump in the water.
It's a little bit of the polarization that I brought up before, as far as there are literally some people who churches. People are documenting so much that all the screens are Charlie, and the pastor quotes more of Charlie than he does the Bible, and this Black person just like, yo, where am I at? I thought in the midst of this, we still preach Christ, all these things. So there's these things where I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of sitting with, if your whole worship service is, your screens is Charlie's face and the whole thing, like I can understand some, tribute, a section to it, but this is that blending over of like, where's the hope in Charlie's quotes? Or is it, and so, this person literally added up, he quoted the Bible this many times, he quoted Charlie this many times, what are we doing, other things. So that's a light softball one for you, not as racially charged.
Use that as an example, because like you said, Ed really handled that well.
I think he did.
He used the opportunity to talk about being bold, the time for being lukewarm, and kind of, I'll paraphrase it, sitting on your ass and doing nothing. That's over. Seriously, think about this, and he talked about what Charlie stood for, and the gospel.
Right.
Am I boring you guys here? Or
no. I always throw jabs at my guy over here. Sorry.
Romance is over, moment.
Our moment is over.
Yeah. I saw Salo not off, but Ed did it right. Because there's something bigger going on here. There's something much bigger going on here. And I think that there's this sense, and Erica Kirk has suggested this as well, that as successful as Charlie was in life, I think that this is going to be explosive.
Well, look, a lot of people have called Charlie a martyr because he was murdered. Let's just say it, for his biblical worldview, for his Christian values.
Sure.
Yes, he merged them into a political advocacy.
Can I play ignorant interviewer?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Well, I'll just say the things that I'm seeing, the themes that I'm seeing is because there are times that I see him tie it right back in, but I'm curious if people fully knew. Like these things are rooted and coming from. Now, I think we got to also take in context. We're seeing things highlighted in a very big way right now. All of his content is coming to the surface, right? So I just want to give that context. Sure. But one of the pushbacks that people have said, ignorant interviewer, is that he's pushing against my right to choose. And again, Charlie will just go with you, not from Bible. He'll just go with you from straight, biology or.
Well, I have a secular argument to abortion aside from the Bible.
No, I know. So I'm just saying, I'm curious, and it's hard to weigh which or which. But some people are pushing and saying, is it all that? Now, I would say it would be a fool to say it's not blended. Is it all his Christian views, or did he go on campuses and there were times where it was just you don't like me because I'm this, or you're pushing against my rights as a human. Nevertheless, because you're a Christian, because you're a white man. It wasn't even, you get what I'm saying? I think
I think I do. You're saying, was he racist?
No. I guess what people are saying, it wasn't because his biblical views. That's the push. No, it's not.
If they don't know the Bible, then they're not going to recognize biblical views.
Yeah,
Scripture talks about that. It's going to be foolishness to them. So when I look, and I've seen a lot of Charlie videos. I saw him in some spicy debates, but what were James and John called? The brothers of what?
Thunder.
Okay. Jesus in Matthew 23 was pretty thunderous.
The sons of thunder.
The sons of thunder. Jesus, the seven woes to the Pharisees. Dare I say, a little Nico the Hood stylish, or maybe I was Jesus stylish. Yeah. Paul. John the Baptist. These were boisterous. So if you take a clip, and because context is king, and we should be truth scavengers, because I want to be just. I want to make sure that we are handling things appropriately. But when you talk about him, I've seen some gracious. I think I sent you guys a couple.
Oh yeah, totally.
Of him talking to a trans girl. Just
it was a beautiful moment.
Beautiful. It was gracious.
Yes.
And there's way more of those. If he's arguing with the young Turk guy, Cenk, and they're at each other, and shit, I'm guilty of that. Remember when we had our guest here and I'm cussing everybody out? So I'm not sure what they mean. I was
going to say, go to the martyr point, because I think that's going to be helpful of defining
martyrs.
martyrs.
So let's define what a martyr is.
Well, so that people can have, because I was just playing the pushback person.
A little bit. There's a little bit of truth in every joke. But so what's the definition of a martyr?
Yeah, that's good.
Arujo it. Don't Google it.
Come on.
Keep it simple. Anyone who loses their faith for the sake of the faith.
If
you lose your life for the sake of the faith.
Their life.
Yes.
You lose your life for the advancement of the faith. Now, again, Charlie was, I think, the best of us in terms of integrating that in the public space. I think so. And so, his faith informed his politics, and he was very good at sort of vacillating back and forth.
That's right.
And integrating those. And that's what we ought to be. We ought to be integrationists.
That's right.
Every believer should be an integrationist.
Yes.
And he did that very effectively. And so when he talked about the implications of transgenderism in society, that has a whole apologetic. But then what's driving his concern ultimately is because he believes that men are men and women are women. And by the way, it wasn't even about that half the time. A lot of time the issue was that these are views that are being pushed on society, that there's a coercion industry behind this. And that's really what animated a lot of this debate. Of course you can believe whatever you want to believe.
Right.
You want to be if Tyler Robinson hadn't gotten on a roof and wiped him out and killed Charlie Kirk in cold blood, okay? He can be a gay guy living with trans lover all he wants.
You can believe.
The only reason it began to matter is because he gets out into society, okay, and his worldview or his belief associated with transgenderism and human sexuality and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and whether it matters or doesn't matter. Which now Charlie could speak to those things. And like Nico said, behind it is this religious view, which, by the way, didn't parachute out of the sky. This is part of the American academic system.
Yeah.
We have teachers all over American classrooms that have been operating for decades that are actually priests of a religion. They're not instructors. And so where did he get these ideas? Not by osmosis.
Yeah.
He's literally been taught these things. And so the point is, he bought into that, and that has societal implications. And so Charlie was prepared to talk about that. And he did. Yeah. So I guess getting back, making full circle.
But I want to know if he thinks Charlie was a martyr.
Great question.
Based off your definition,
that's what I was going to ask. The full circle was, how is he not, if he's animated by his biblical views that men are men and women are men, women are women, and that there's these things called husbands and fathers, right? And
I get. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
And so if malehood matters and femalehood matters. And so he looks at the biblical model for that. He believes it. He talked about how it's shaped human civilizations from the beginning of time for a reason.
Yeah.
And he talked about American history and how American policy and American law has respected and protected and advanced. The government has actually, it's in the government's best interest to support and advance that model. Mutually loving, heterosexual. He talked about all of these things, and then he'd put it on them. Tell me what you're advancing. So my point is, I don't know there was a separating between one.
No, here's what I would say, and I'm with you on that, and I just want to flush it all out, right? Because I just want to hypothetically say, right, like if I am I'm an atheist, and I go around, but I am regurgitating everything that Charlie is saying. Like I believe everything he's saying, not from a biblical worldview, not from scripture, not from any of these things, but just as punchy, just as sarcastic, just as all the things, saying every single thing. Get shot today. What did someone kill me for? Was it because I was my biblical worldview, or did somebody kill me because at the symptom, like the surface, was these views, these how the implications.
But you don't have to wonder. In your scenario, we would have to wonder.
Exactly.
With Charlie, we don't have to wonder. He tied it very overtly.
Yes, he did.
That's all I'm saying.
He did, and I guess if the shooter says it, I don't know. It's tough to say like. But if I'm saying it would be naive to say that these are blended and that there's no way that you can separate the two. That's where I stand.
Let me tie what you just said.
I don't know if I get.
Wait.
I want to make sure I understand him.
I'm saying.
Do you understand what he's saying?
No, this might be 3-on-1.
And yours, Tim. Yours, Tim.
I'm saying his biblical worldview and his these topics that he was bringing up, that they're inseparable.
You're saying that they're not inseparable, or what do you?
For him or for
I'm saying that they're not inseparable.
For Charlie, they were not inseparable.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying my belief is that you can't push these, you can't separate these.
I agree.
I know. I'm saying that's where I'm saying I'm spouting what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Right now.
So they are inseparable for Charlie.
For people.
Oh.
No. People are saying.
Oh, I see.
That these are different. He's not a martyr.
Sure.
Because he was saying these things, it wasn't for his faith unless the guy says
how do
it was.
they know that?
But here's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. It can only be about his faith if the guy says it's about his faith.
I can answer that, and that goes back to how he started.
Not
his conversation.
me.
No, hold
Not
on.
me.
I get it.
Not
Back up in my
I get
ear.
it.
Sorry.
I get it. I don't really see your New York Yankees hat. I like New York Yankees. Let's go back to what you mentioned about black pastors, black clergy,
Yeah.
because they can answer that question. There's a piece in the Houston Chronicle that actually interviewed a bunch of black clergy in the aftermath of the Kirk killing, and it is chilling, the stuff that you're reading there and the way that they're trying to justify the stuff they're justifying. And the one that stuck out for me is the way the article starts. It was a Bishop James Dixon II from Community Faith Church in Houston.
He quotes the churches, I don't.
And he said,
It's good.
yeah, our church should grieve his death, but let's not forget that he was a racist, that he was an extremist, and a white Christian nationalist. Now, no pushback, no request to define that. Everybody just, okay, got it. And of course, the interviewer, it's the Eastern Chronicle, no bastion of conservatism.
Right.
The interviewer is like, sort of a nod in the article. You can tell. And this wasn't just him. This is pretty pervasive. I saw it pervasively from black Christian church pulpits.
Why?
And so we should talk about that, because I don't think that helps.
Yeah.
I don't think there is the black church is important. I do. I think it's a beautiful piece of patchwork in the American experiment. And it's heartbreaking to me that they're not picking up the mantle of the gospel. And I'd like you guys to speak to it. Where am I going wrong in asserting that? I don't think that this was an anomaly. Not every black church was like that. But again, there was a thread. Nico was pretty hot and bothered by it. He was texting you on it.
Well, you go on the text.
Yeah.
I didn't respond
But it's a legit. It's a legit. What's going on? Because it shows up differently in white churches. I mean, I hate saying it like that, but I think the root is the same. The root of the worldview is the same. There's a dehumanization there, so we should grieve. But he was a racist. He was an extremist and a white Christian.
Disconnect, guys, because you guys were talking about. Well, somebody that looked like you, Mo, was talking about how there were people that happened to be black. They were either upset with maybe what Ed said or what's going on. Bring me into that world. I'm not saying you agree or don't agree with it, but I really want to understand, because we're talking about church people now.
Yes.
The world, we kind of addressed the world. Yeah. Okay, fine. The world's going to look at us and be foolish. Got it. Now we need to be persuasive the way Paul was, and give an apologia and meet them like he did to the Athenians, right? And bring them in, like Charlie tried to model in these open exchanges, and then make people think like, I don't agree with you, but I don't know why I don't agree with you now, because he made too much sense a lot of times. And if you don't think that about Charlie, then you haven't watched enough of those videos. And I'm critical. You can ask Salo, anybody else in here. I'm very critical about debate, how you argue, evidence, how you handle God's word. And I have to admit, I thought he did it very well. Now, I'm not saying perfectly. He said very well.
Yes.
So all I'm saying here is, what is the issue in the black church community, or at least that I guess that I'm missing?
Yeah, totally. And I think a few things need to be addressed. Or I see two majors. I think the really putting the feet to the fire on the statements that are being made. So when someone says racist, someone says white nationalist, white supremacist, talking about Kirk, I really think when that is being touted by black pastors, I think that you really need to show me that. And so this is the evidence piece. And so for me, there's that conversation of, hey, we got to actually break that down. What did you actually see that was an issue with the black church? I think this weekend there was a moment where there is, by and large, a large group of people who you are in front of, who, because of, and this is just me speaking freely, because of clips that they've seen out of context, because of things that they've heard that did not fit what they believe about a situation that was racially charged. So I'll just take for an instance, like if you got, so everybody, one that went around was the black women don't have brain processing power, which he didn't say black women don't have brain processing power. That's something that was being touted a lot in these black pulpits. So you have people who are in the audience who have heard or seen, or this has been passed around all week. This is the person who, you got grandmothers who didn't even know Kirk. I'm gonna send you a video. This is who he was. And now I've made up my decision about this guy. And I think what you saw was black pastors having a moment to say, and let me say it a different way. I'm sitting in front of people who may have been harmed. So let's take for a moment that they genuinely believe that this guy was a racist and a white supremacist. Black pastors that see someone die that is a white supremacist and a racist, they feel the need to speak to both. I have to acknowledge the fact that he was racist and a white supremacist, and I have to say that this was wrong. So you felt the pressure and the tension of having to address both, when in my opinion, one of those were wrong. I don't think that you have the evidence to back up white supremacists, racists, but you felt the tension of, if I'm sitting in front of people who truly believe this is somebody, and I truly believe that this man was a racist and a white supremacist, it was the tension of, I cannot just let him die and esteem the way that who he was. I have to speak to the fact that the rhetoric and who he was also dangerous to my community. I think that's what we felt.
For sure. I'll say that I'm in real time, processing for sure. And love my black church. And part of what I think this week has been for me, and I mean, again, I don't speak on things that I have not fully vetted, fully talked through, fully seen myself. And so in some weird way, all of us are starting to become Charlie Kirk apologists just by way of doing so much research on him. And so I'll say this, without knowing any context, and this is where people are, without knowing any context, and context matters, because there's been some things where I've been like, okay, that's been taken out of context. I think from the clips, and we live in a clips culture, and this is the downside of it, people have concluded these things, and if those clips were by themselves isolated and by themselves seen, and that was the extent of the words, he would be concluded as all the things that these black pastors are saying. And I think it would be right for them to say so if they were true. The problem is that it's unfortunate that it feels as if there's been more of a stopping short. And again, I haven't done all my research. So and you guys know me, like I'm for whatever reason, I'm quick to try to make sure, hey, we talk through this. And if some people will feel hurt or jump in to make sure, hey, I'm defending in some ways, I'm still processing these things, right? But defending black brothers, black sisters, people who have felt harmed by this language, right? The problem is from what I've seen so far and the short research that I've done, if it be true, then that is things that need to be stated. The problem is that it has, I think it goes to Marquise's point of different things, is that we're looking to see where these things are. This is a lot of our group chat right now. Can you give us the conversation? Can you give us, because if someone is, Liko, you say it all the time, if someone is, let's call it what it is. Right. If someone's stupid, let's call them, whatever it may be, this is false doctrine, this is this is this, let's call it what it is. And I'm in a space right now where I'm seeking to call it what it is. And right now I have not got to the place of saying or agreeing with these pastors. So for them to get in a place where they're saying this so strongly and in being in a lot of ways more divisive than they are speaking to a true gospel. And I think this weird frustration of, we want to say something because you guys have said so much about this. And then you got people online too, pastors leading up to their Sunday, you better say something. And again, we live in a racialized society, and this is where I'm a little bit more Nico in this conversation, where it's like, you guys are throwing race on so much of it. And I'm like, why is that the thing where it's like, I'm not putting no white guy in my pulpit and this. It's like, what are we talking about? Why am I? Yeah. So, and I'm with you. So we're such a charged place where people feel they have to say something, they got to post about something, and I'm in a spot where, as much as we need to keep talking as people, talking to one another, like conversations like this, some of us need to shut up and listen, just what is, because the pressure to post, the pressure to, I gotta be so boisterous in this moment. I'm like, And I was talking with Nico about that. I was just like, I'm feeling right now, my heart's not in the right place to be talking about all
But
these things.
I hold the pastor who happens to be black more accountable than the congregation.
For sure. I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
You're a steward of that
I agree with
flock. And when you make anything, when anything takes the place of Christ being your first love, by definition, it's an idol. Whether it's your skin color, your ethnicity, whatever it is. And to me, this is what I conjure up in my mind is the rich young ruler that goes to Jesus and says, I want to be with you. I want to do this.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus, basics. Have you done this, since you were a kid? Since I was a kid. Recognizing his issue, not that money's bad. The love of money is bad. Is sell all your stuff. And then what does it say? He walked away sad because he had a lot of stuff. Sell your ethnicity, Mexican, black, white person. Sell your ethnicity and follow me. And they walk away because I'm really Mexican, because I'm really black, because I'm really white. Whatever it is, fill in the blank.
See, this is a salt in the wound here.
Well, I get it, but
it really. I just want to probe a little bit.
Yeah, please do.
It might be kind of a sensitive topic, but I'd like you to weigh in on it because I happen to believe. I happen to believe this is the issue. I believe black liberation theology is alive and well. And there's James, and I don't know if you've read his work. James Cone. Okay, he's read his work. All right. He's sort of the architect, really the chief architect of liberation theology. He wrote a book in 1970, A Black Theology of Liberation. And he coined the concept of black theology in a framework of Christianity. And man, I'm telling you, when you read the book, he said, look, I mean, we are black pastors, because something happened after the Pastors of Civil Rights Act in 1964-65. Black pastors, according to him, weren't just telling their congregations to cope with racial discrimination. Don't just cope, confront. And so the church became really a political instrument. And so, and this gets to, I think this gets to what you're saying, but I'd like you to tell me if I'm wrong or not. Seriously, because I want to learn. But when you're saying they feel the need to say, yeah, that was wrong, that's a human being. And James Dixon, credit to him, said, yeah, he's a human being.
But so he's a big ass but. Yeah.
But and in the list of alleged grievances. And that kind, if you read the article in the Houston Chronicle, it's that kind of equivocation. And so what James Cone says in his book is that black theology operates that way. He says, look, I am basically analyzing the nature of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the nature and character of Christ. So let's take forgiveness for your enemies, in light of the experience of the oppressed black person. So in other words, that becomes my primary filter through which I then communicate the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so in a situation like this, what's governing? What's governing, it seems to me, is, and this is the problem, if you look at black liberation theology, which isn't Christian, it has vestiges of Christianity, obviously. And Cone is excellent because he's so blunt.
Right.
I mean, the dude doesn't like, oh, well, there's no, I don't think, total transparency. And then he lets you decide. But he doesn't he? I mean, is that stark?
For sure.
And I think everybody should get that book and read it. I happen to believe it's alive and well. I think it's deeply problematic because I think you have pastors who think they're actually serving Christ. But what's happened, it's a false gospel because it's redefined sin. It actually looks at racism as the sin.
The chief sin.
Yeah. And that really sort of becomes the arbiter to analyze the stipulations and expectations and the boundaries of the gospel.
Yes.
I wonder if this is what's at play here or if I'm just oversimplifying it.
Nope.
So hold on.
No,
but look at this. I love that you didn't hesitate.
Well, let me say
I want to
this.
get to some comments in a second.
Yeah. Well, let me say this. There is what you see and what you feel. There's a fracture within the black community concerning
Obviously,
this.
I see that.
There's a fracture, and here
I really want to understand that.
There's a fracture, and the fracture is There's some that are like, show me evidence. Am I just going to hear this? Is like, I think there's a fatigue with the oppressor conversation, mainly amongst younger blacks. And I think there's a little bit of the like, talk to me a little bit here. Show me what you're talking about. And then there's the side of what you're talking to of those who still hold very true and cling to the oppressor. And so for me, and this is Marxism, this is for me, it feels like when a white person who dies, who spoke very boldly about black fatherlessness, who spoke very boldly about DEI, overreaching, going beyond just equality, and now it's lowering the standards. And when you have a white person that bold speaking about that, it really rubs up against the worldview that I have of oppressor, and this I'm trying to make sure you're not out to get me mentality. And I think there were some pastors that took that opportunity to further that conversation and further that same line of thinking, instead of, I think, in my opinion, redeeming the moment and saying, even if I fully believe Charlie Kirk was a racist, I do not. If I fully believe that, and I'm in front of a church that's mainly black people, I stand in front of them and I would say this was a flawed human being who didn't deserve to die that way. I don't agree with the way that he lived. I don't agree with who he was in the way that he lived. Let's just take Bull Connor down in the South back in the day. Let's take Bull Connor. Let's say Bull Connor died today or back then, and I'm a pastor. I do not agree with the life that Bull Connor lived. I think he missed it when it came to this idea of racism. This is someone who has professed these things when it comes to Jesus as a follower of Jesus.
Yes.
I think he missed it here. But so for me, it's lowercase, the stuff that he got wrong, uppercase, the Jesus Christ. I'm trying to see Jesus, because the reality is there's going to be some people that miss it here on earth and still die. So.
Guys, you want to take a moment? We won't take a moment.
Mo, it's okay.
Let me get some comments really quick.
Or do you want to go ahead?
You want to collect your thoughts?
I want to collect my thoughts,
Okay,
and if I
then
never
that-
get
just
around to my thoughts, I just want to say I have a lot to say.
Well, then you're going to say them. I just want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's okay. You can tell us that Bull Connor was a lifelong Democrat. Go ahead, please.
Okay, here it is. So Yaya Vicario, where are the and I say this lovingly, where are the, she says, fruits of the Spirit. It's fruit. The fruit consists of 9 characteristics. In mankind walk in it. Remember, love is number 1. True. So the fruit of the Spirit, if you look at Galatians 5:16 down, those are the sins of the flesh, and it's a long list. And I'm in it, and so is all of us. And Momo's in it too. And then you get to verse 22, and the fruit of the Spirit: love, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, all that stuff. The 9 characteristics we get. She's right. But if you're not persuaded by this, Yaya, you're not going to live in it. You're not going to walk in it. So it all comes down to, what are you persuaded by? Number 1, and then a brilliant mind, a beautiful woman, inside and out, made a comment. Her name is Crystal Cox. Do you know her?
Oh, Lord.
Do you know her?
What you talk?
But
Why you still up?
I don't know why she talks about her brother-in-law this way, but no, I'm joking. She didn't say anything about you. She said, never should anyone kill someone over an opinion. Bottom line.
Yeah.
The story.
Yeah.
And Jesus didn't advocate that, and people were viciously opposed to him.
And Crystal, that's the kind of clarity that we desperately need.
Yeah.
From anywhere,
Period.
especially.
Let's just start there.
Especially the pulpit.
Yeah.
Especially the pulpit.
But Jacob Hernandez, I feel, and Jacob, thank you for that. I'm humbled by this. I feel so many more people should be watching this, which is great. So now back to you. No pressure, Momo. What are you going to say?
I love James Cone. He missed it in a lot of ways. But I really, really do love James Cone. And I think you can, I think the best way to read him is if you go with a critical eye while also looking to see and redeem what those things are. The context in which he spoke, I mean, you're talking about 50s and 60s. And you're talking about
the book was 1970, late 60s. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Of what he's experienced. And so there's a lot of things that I've really loved from that. But I do think when you take something wholesale and you don't start to have an observable eye or critique of, like, wait a second, this actually is subtly causing us to drift, we can get off course.
Can I?
I'll say, go ahead. Please.
No, please finish that thought, because
Go ahead,
I think this is so important. I do hope that the black clergy are listening to what you're saying right now, because there's got to be a way forward from this. And we can't stay here.
For sure. And it's with anybody that we have held up in the black community. You know, when we have different heroes, different people that we love, from Muhammad Ali to Malcolm X to Martin Luther King Jr., all these things, all truth is God's truth. And when people say different things or have different conversations, or they're fighting for a particular group of people, I think the space that we're in right now, and I think there needs to be a lot of this conversation within the black community and black pastors, is what does our conversations and our fight look like today? Our struggle is not Martin's struggle. Our fight in a lot of ways has evolved and is not the same as Muhammad Ali's struggle in the 60s, and he's fighting all these things. And so I say all that to say there's lots of more conversation, and if we do not become a people that is gospel-centered and understand that, let me say, not become a people, many of us are. It's a lot of loud mouths that get, a lot of bad attention. But I think in this moment, we have to also speak very clearly and very boldly, even to those within our community. And that is blasphemy. Let me just give you guys some context there, to one another. But if people are causing people, Christians, people of God, to go astray, to drift towards a gospel that is not a gospel at all, then we have to correct that. We have to call it out. We have to say it is. And so these other pastors, the ones that's going viral, the ones that saying all these things, and if we have idolized color to a point where we can't clearly and soberly, without the charged emotion, speak and call out things, I think it is still a time where we need to call out what is racist, what is xenophobic, what is all these things. Yes, and I think that does need to be happening from a pulpit when it happens. And I think there's so much that's taking place where was it yesterday? The black man that was, hung in Delta State University. Go look into some of that conversation. We're trying to find out what the cause was. How did this happen? And it's right. I mean, the tragedy, the things that's happening all in the same thing is tough to see. And so I think one of the emotional responses to this conversation from black people is, I would say, the selective rage is what I've seen the conversation be. When finish.
Finish.
And I don't think any of the deaths or the things that we've seen, the tragedies, the atrocities that we've seen, are one way or the other. Like, one is higher, one is lesser, all these things. And so there's all these things that take place, and it's like, okay, well, why did this person? And again, I'm just telling you what I've seen. Why did this person? And of course, we live in a racialized society. Why? I don't know. We're not there yet of the colorblind, what Martin Luther King was pushing. But why did this person get this much airtime? Why did this person, when all these other things are happening? And
I think that's. I think
there's a lot to that. I think,
and I think they said as much. They said, but when asked for examples, they went back decades. So the statement was, this is totally disproportionate considering the amount of suffering that black persons have had to endure in the country. An example, I think the most recent one was Trayvon Martin, and that's 2012. So I think there's some wisdom here, and I'm glad you because I think he defines, because I don't think that changed. I think it's now entrenched, according to him, at least in the black community. Do you remember what he said that was the great event in Christ's liberation? James Combs said the great event in Christ's liberation was the freeing of African Americans from centuries-old tyranny of white racism and white oppression.
This was Jesus. This
is
was
James Combs.
James Combs.
Say it again.
Who's really the sort of chief architect of the black liberation theology. He said the great event of Christ's liberation. Remember, the Bible says, what's the great event? He broke the power of sin, original sin, to control us. We're no longer slaves. We're now servants and children. All of that blurs. He says, no, the great event of Christ's liberation was freeing African Americans from the centuries-old tyranny of white racism and white oppression. And you just got, that's a mouthful, but you got to step back and say, what are the implications of teaching a gospel like that?
So what's the name, real quick, I'm going to wind up now. I'm going to leave you 2 points.
Yeah, totally.
What's the name of the pastor that I sent you guys, the pastor that happens to be black, the bold guy that you guys...
That's my dude. I forgot his name.
The one that's the good, the way.
The
one that was talking crazy.
No, the one that was talking sound.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
I forget his name. It's
I sent it to the group.
He sent it to the group.
I'll look it up.
You know
Keep
him,
going.
Maurice.
I'll look.
But let me just say, because people that are listening, and I'll be the first one to do it. So, Charlie Kirk.
Oh, Reverend Al Sharp.
No, what the
Scary that
You
he's...
ruined the whole damn thing.
Sorry.
Mute his mic.
That was actually good. Momo.
I found it.
Who is it? Keep looking.
Damn, that New York Yankees hat is...
But-
Yeah, it's getting him, man.
So here's my deal. Understanding, let's apply some principles. We are to speak the truth in love. Micah 6:8 says, well, and what does the Lord expect of you? But to seek justice, don't wait for it. Seek it. Love kindness and walk humbly with your God. Micah 6:8. Proverbs 17:15 says, acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent, God detests them both. We are called to find out what the truth is.
Yeah.
And so when somebody, what can we say about Charlie Kirk? He's a flawed individual because only one person walked on water.
Right.
It wasn't me. It wasn't Charlie Kirk. It wasn't any of us in this room. It was Jesus Christ. But here's a man who boldly professed the gospel.
Yes.
I mean, you're just not going to win that argument objectively.
No.
I mean, even on the day of his passing, minutes before he was taken from this earth, he was professing the gospel. I mean, he literally professed the gospel. When he took Matthew 28:19 seriously, his organization had grown so much. He was making a ton of money. He had the ears of presidents and kings and world leaders, and he still found the value in the obedience of professing the gospel. What do you want to be known for? My faith and the courage in my faith. That's what he wanted to be known for. So we can't deny that. And whether you're a pastor that's black, a pastor that's Mexican, white, that's an objective truth.
Amen.
To acquit the guilty and to condemn the innocent, God detests them. And I have seen no evidence that Charlie Kirk was racist. Zero. You can take a statement out of context, but then if you look at the whole statement, because God is a God of justice, you're not going to get there. And so that's that. So you have someone who used a platform to boldly profess the gospel. I'm not there. I've listened to a lot of arguments. But if we contend with the facts. I don't know how you don't honor a man. Romans 13 says to give honor to whom honor is due. No one's worshiping this dude.
Venerating him. No.
You're just honoring him. Someone passed away. I mean, and if that's your standard, he just said something bad, then don't expect me at your funeral. Don't expect me at your funeral. And don't ask your pastor to show up at your funeral. Because if all we're going to do is take a snippet of your life, I mean, then Paul's screwed. Paul, the murderer, David, the horny bastard that committed murder to cover up adultery, these people, all of them, the tribe of Judah, when Judah banged his daughter-in-law. I mean, are we going to play games? Are we going to talk about an R-rated life, X-rated chapters sometimes, and Jesus comes in and redeems it all? And I'm not putting Charlie in that category as these yahoos. I'm just saying that even if, and even if he was racist, I told the men this morning, we should want his salvation. I want the racist to bow a knee to Jesus Christ. I want the racist to say I was wrong and I was flawed, and I know the truth of Jesus Christ. And because I said yes to him and I believed in my heart, I professed it with my mouth, I have a one-way ticket to heaven. And all my sins were covered on the cross. Because when Jesus said it is finished, he meant it. It wasn't kind of finished. It wasn't almost finished. And it was only finished for people that are white or people that are black or Mexican. It was finished for all people. And so I guess my goal, I mean, when you look at that, I guess I would want to see all people in the church to set aside, if we're talking about pastors that happen to be black. You know, I say that very deliberately. Even on our text message, I say it. Because that's a descriptive. Momo happens to be black and handsome and charming and all the other things, right? That those are descriptives. That's not his identity. I've never looked at anybody as their skin color. I don't raise my children that way. I don't live my life that way. Don't you want to support this person? They're Mexican or they're Lebanese. I mean, that's great that they are. I want them to succeed. But who are they? Who are they? Who are they inside? What do they believe? What is their ideology? Do they love Jesus? Do they accept my Jesus? So all that to say, that's where I'm at. So I think that the indictment against Charlie Kirk by this pastor that happens to be black that went viral, I think it was irresponsible because I think it was lazy.
I think so too.
I think it showed cowardice because he gave in to, and I say ignorance not to be disrespectful. I'm ignorant to a lot of things, meaning not because his flock maybe were ignorant. Because then you have the pastor that I know you looked up the name now. His church isn't bucking back on him.
No,
he had a very different approach on it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because he set the culture.
It's
all about the setup.
Yes.
He set the culture.
Yes.
And as the shepherd,
you know what you're getting.
But you know how you're leading.
Yeah. And
you've been leading. If you're starting to lead yesterday, then you're behind the game.
Yeah.
Right? So that's my roundup. We're gonna finish it off. Any comments, Saulo? Have anybody ragging on Momo? Don't do it. Marquise, want to say anything?
I'll just say this.
Say something.
The last thing is, there is as a pastor, I think this is a beautiful moment to wade into the waters of, especially this past weekend, to extract everything that Charlie stood for and everything that he stood on when it came to his biblical convictions. I would extract all of those things and highlight them as this is the way we ought to live. For me, Salo and I just got back from Greece. When I stood there where Paul was in Mars Hill and he spoke to the men of the Athenians and he used their poets to infiltrate, so we talk about this overlap, to infiltrate their minds, but then to say, this unknown God that you're speaking of, let me show you who he is. I think Charlie did that beautifully, and I think that this is a missed moment if we don't extract those things, highlight them, and say, let's move towards this instead of getting on the lowercase, I don't like the way he said tone, tact, timing things. And so it's uppercase biblical convictions, lowercase time, tone, tact. And I think it was a missed moment if we utilize that to talk about time, tone, and tact and not extract the biblical convictions.
But from a practical standpoint, when you're in the arena as much as Charlie has been, it gets messy. I mean, I know you guys have never been in a fight, but you get in a Royal Rumble, it's not as clean of a fight as if you're fighting one-on-one in the ring or whatever. It's a controlled environment. When it's a Royal Rumble, it gets sloppy. And so, I mean, and I'm not making excuses for the man. There are things, he said something about Gaza and the buildings, and he said, too soon? And he was trying to be bold and make a point or whatever, because I think he was just so grieved and hurt of the atrocities that happened on October 7th, that it just don't go down to that level. It's just keep it up here. And now I think that was a moment where he kind of fell for it, and he was playing to his audience instead of playing to the facts and the truth. I think he matured from that, obviously. This was back when October 7th first happened, right after that. And I was like, I wouldn't have done it that way.
Right.
And it's okay.
So there's moments like that.
Yes, of course.
There's moments like that. But I think this is final comment, beautiful things are getting ready to take place, in my opinion. I think there are people that are emboldened because of it in the right way. And I love the fact that it's emboldened not to go and go crazy. It's emboldened to even be more. I was in the men's group yesterday, and my guy Chase said, I am more, he changed his Instagram name to Jesus Freak. He's like, I am more emboldened to stand for Christ because of what I've seen with Charlie now more than ever. And those are the things that I think are going to happen because of this. Ordinary man, flawed man, ordinary, but one that stood on biblical convictions.
Is the seed for a courageous harvest, and that's what you're going to do. So, all right, guys. George, thank you. Momo, thank you for being here.
Keep talking
thank you for
one another, you guys.
Even Al Sharpton. Even Al
Charlie
Sharpton.
Kirk said.
Keep talking.
Pastor Sharpton.
Dangerous things happen when you don't. When you stop talking.
Amen.
Keep talking.
God bless you guys. Share this with someone you think may benefit from it. Hope to see you guys next week. Bye bye. God bless you.
I was wondering what